I wanted to start this podcast with a story that happened a little bit earlier today. And I had a client message me and he was like, "Hey, I was just wondering what you think about X, Y, and Z for my bio." And I read it, and in my head, I was like, "Yeah, that's great. That's perfect." But instead of telling him, "Yeah, that's great. That's perfect," I asked him what he thought of it. And it took him a minute to respond. Like, I saw that he read it and he was like waiting. And then he was like, "Well, I mean, it kind of sounds like you don't like it because you're asking me how I feel about it." And I was like, "No, no, that's definitely not it. It's because I want you to feel good about it because guess what? It's your bio that you're going to put in Instagram, right?" And I said to him, I said, "You know your ideal client best. You know it better than me. My goal as a coach isn't to tell you what to do. It's to guide you on what feels right and what feels best. And if I truly believe that you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, I'll gladly tell you." Right. And so then from there, he was able to change his bio. My name is Arden Schiller, and I'm an online business coach. I'm here to help you grow without the hustle and grind, embrace the space and the in between, and find joy and fulfillment in your business. Today on our podcast, I really wanted to dive in and talk about the difference between coaching as a dictator versus coaching as a guide or as a mentor. And I think this is so important because we don't talk about how we coach enough in the coaching industry, because coaching is not something where you're supposed to tell your clients what to do. And that's the craziest part is so many mentors I see telling their clients, "No, you can't do this," and putting them in a box, right? And for me personally, there's a million ways to make $1 million. There's a million ways to make a billion dollars, right? And it comes down to if we as coaches are shoving our clients in a box, they're never going to be able to find that way. And so another story that I really wanted to dive into was for me when I first started my business. I had a mentor, and I remember I was about a year into my business and I was doing really, really, really well. I was an online fitness coach, as you guys know, and I was about a year in, and I said, I wanted to start online business coaching because a little over a year, probably almost 2 years in. I wanted to start online business coaching because a lot of people were asking me how my fitness business was doing so well and how I got there. And he was like, "Yeah, I think that's a great idea. You should start mentoring some of those people." So I did. I started, mentoring some people. I started helping some people out. And as I was doing that, I started gaining this shiny object syndrome around, okay, well, I can also give them a virtual assistant. So let me just create a whole course and bring on VAs and start a VA agency. So I started doing that. And I remember he looked at me and he was like, "Are you sure you want to open a whole other entity around this?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, absolutely." And a year later, not only am I shutting down my VA agency, but I'm recognizing that I love business coaching so much. I don't want to do my fitness coaching company anymore either, right? And he told me the other day as I was shutting down my VA agency, he was like, "Hey, Arden, do you remember when we were on that call when you first started it a year ago? And you remember how I kind of said, 'Are you sure you want to do this?' And I was like, 'Yeah.' And he was like, and I didn't say anything else. And I said, 'Yeah.' And he was like, 'Because I wanted you to fail.'" And I laughed and I was like, "Yeah, I know, I know." He was like, "Because guess what? You're only going to learn from your failures, right?" And I'm so grateful that he didn't say, "No, don't do it." I'm so grateful that he didn't say, "Don't do the VA agency. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't try to do it all." Because guess what? I had to figure that out on my own. And as much as I love the VA agency, I just realized that it's not a priority and it's not something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life or for my business, right? And so that's why I ended up just being like, "Okay, let's just close it down." Right? And as you start to go through business, you're going to have a lot of failures, and your coach is not there to fix them. I think that's the most important part to recognize is that your coach is to guide you and to help support you through them. And I've had clients who have had major mess ups with their own clients. I've had clients who have said the wrong things on social media that just weren't right, that burned bridges. And guess what? They learned. They're never going to do it again. They're not going to mess up with a client like this again. And I think that's the best part about business is that we learn. Damn, I've burned so many bridges with the wrong people, right? And that's okay. Because guess what? Because of that, I'm now meeting the right people. I'm now growing my business a lot better. I'm now able to actually learn how to reach that $1 million, reach that, X amount of money one day because of my failures. And as a coach, our goal is to support our clients through the good times, obviously, but also through those failures and letting them fail, like literally letting them let themselves down as much as it sucks. We want that to happen because if they don't experience that letdown, it's going to be hard as heck for them to come back up, right? And so when one of my fitness clients doesn't track her food for a week and I don't say anything at all, sometimes I do that. Yep, sometimes I will literally do that. And she goes, you didn't tell me or remind me to track my food. And I say, I know. I was like, how does it feel? Because this is what's going to happen one day when you don't have a coach. Then what? And she was like, damn, I should track my food because one day I won't have a coach. I don't know. Maybe she'll have a coach for the rest of her life. But is that really what people want? Listen, I'm all for ongoing support, all for mentorship. I genuinely do believe in that. And also, I believe that sometimes we need to step away from it to be innovative and to see how self-led and driven we truly are, right? And so I want to teach my clients to be self-led and driven. I want to teach my clients how to be independent and how to show up for themselves. And as a coach, that's our goal. We want to guide them in the right direction, and they get to take what sticks. We give them the handful of sand and they take what sticks. That's the part about being a mentor that nobody talks about, right? That nobody shares, that nobody talks about. They're always like, oh, look, my client made $30,000. Oh, look, my client did this. My client, signed a client. What about the times that your clients literally fuck up, right? What about those times? Damn, I feel bad sometimes my clients really fuck up, but that's the best part because it allows them to move forward, to make those really awesome, big, freaking sales, to finally find this place where they feel confident in what they're doing. Sometimes we have to fail and we have to let our clients fail to move forward. And I think so many times people are like, oh, get a mentor so that you won't fail, so that you can speed up the process, right? Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you can if you listen to them and do every step, but also you're then going to be a mini replica of your mentor. We don't want that. You want to be you. You want to find your voice. And so bringing this all back together as a mentor, it's so important to guide rather than dictate. It's so important to say, do you believe? Ask your clients questions. When they ask you for reassurance or for advice, ask them back. That's okay. You're allowed to question them back. You're allowed to say, do you really believe this is what you want to do? Are you sure this is what you want to do? And if they say yeah, and 100% in your heart, like it's not going to work out, then you say, okay, well, let me know if you need anything along the way. That's how it should be in all relationships. No one wants to listen to someone who's going to literally create a replica or a duplicate of someone else, right? And so I think it's so, so, so important as a mentor to recognize that your clients, they need to learn to create their own authentic voice, to be able to move forward in an industry where I feel like so many people are robots. So many coaches are robots. But if we can actually guide our clients, whether they're fitness clients, whether they're business coaching clients, whether they're any sort of client, if we can guide them in a way that allows them to fail but learn from that failure, and I'm not saying fail where they go and get hit by a car and die. Like, no, I'm saying like let them have the small fails. They don't close a sale. They mess up a sales call, right? They like I did, they start a whole new business and then realize it's not working out. Let them fail because that's going to allow them to then move forward. Okay. So there's just a little bit about how to be a really good coach, because I genuinely feel like there's not enough good coaches or guides out there. There's way too many dictators. There's way too many people that believe as a coach they know what's best. And in reality, nobody knows what's best, because guess what? We're all learning, we're all growing, and we're all striving to reach the mountain that doesn't have a peak. And so there's a million ways to make $1 million. There's a million ways to do a million things. And I think when you can find your voice, that's when you found the jackpot. So if you are thinking of somebody and you're like, oh my God, this podcast would 100% resonate with them, they needed to hear this. Maybe they've had a mentor or are looking for a mentor or are just trying to mentor. This podcast is for them. So make sure to shoot it their way. And if you guys have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I love you, and I hope you have a lovely week.